Have you ever wondered what it takes to become a leader? Truly, genuine, be able to lead people? As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights. Well, tomorrow, I get to go to the NASDAQ, and we're gonna ring the bell this week. One of the teams I've been working with for about 3.5 years has made it. They've gone from entrepreneurial all the way up to going public. It's pretty cool. And I've coached the CEO for almost 3.5 years. We've talked at least twice a week for almost that entire time. And seeing his growth has been extraordinary. And I realize that so many people don't actually learn how to become a leader. And that's what we're going to talk through in this video. All right, so if you're wondering what's it take to become a leader, well, the four primary things that we go through, the evolution, and I've seen this time and time again with the people that I work with, the CEOs, the high-functioning, particularly entrepreneurial people, they get stuck. It's the skills, because the skills it takes to get from here to here are different than the skills it's going to take to get from here to here. And they have to have an awareness that they actually are becoming the choke point. And until that leader grows and gets through to that next level, well, they're actually going to hold the company back. The skills that got them there are actually going to hold them back going forward. So one of the 4 steps that I say organizations, individuals, and leaders have to go through is stabilize, visualize, strategize, and execute. So what I mean by stabilize is if you're running around with your hair on fire, playing whack-a-mole all day long, we could talk about visualization and strategy all we want, but realistically it's going to go in one ear and out the other. And there's a variety of tools and ways that we step through and step into this. But one of the silly things that sounds crazy but is so important is reframing the thinking of the senior leader that they are actually one of the primary assets of the organization. Most entrepreneurial leaders are really hardworking, very compassionate, very caring, but their default setting is head down, work harder. And the reality is that most of those entrepreneurial leaders can do damn near anything, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. And with this in mind, this is where elevating out and delegating becomes important, to where how can we stabilize? And one of the key things I actually ask people is, how are you sleeping? If you're in that total reactionary mode, playing the reactionary rodeo I call it, you're never actually going to transition into a proactive state, which means you are bouncing all over the place, all the time, reacting. You need to turn into Zen state. You got to chill out, step back, and start to breathe. And start thinking about what are the things that I absolutely have to do, and then what are the things I can let go of? And then who can I start delegating some of these things to? Start thinking who, not how, from a Dan Sullivan book. Great theory. Once you start to stabilize, you're going to start to realize that as a primary asset, making sure that you're well rested, that you've got a great home life, that you're good with your friends, that you're exercising. Actually, those aren't selfish acts. They're the most important thing that you can do so that you can make really quality decisions when you need to. If you're in that reactionary shit show and you're only doing 3 hours of sleep a night, working yourself to the bone, you're gonna end up making bad decisions. Now, this doesn't mean that sometimes, hey, you're an entrepreneur, dude, sometimes you gotta dive in and go 90-hour weeks. That's the nature of the beast. But if that's becoming the norm, it means that you're in a reactionary state and you have to transition from that. But once you start to transition, then it allows you time to invest and start figuring out, where do I want to go? And the number one obligation of a senior leader, number one obligation is to be crystal clear on where we're going. And then building a team around you who knows they understand where you're going, but they also understand how are they contributing to achieving that success. And then what metric are they going to be using to track that? So creating that vision, most organizations like, oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do that. And they're bouncing. But it's the ones that do truly amazing work are the ones that set a big, hairy, audacious goal, Collins, that says, no, this is where we're going. And that senior leader invests the time and energy to visualize what amazing looks like, creating those relationships, connecting those dots that only that senior leader, that he or she may be able to do. Starting to do that to start creating that vision. Very important, especially when you start getting even to the point of having boards. But the understanding and managing your board in that same way so they understand it is critical. So once you start to create that visualization, then you're going to start to create a strategy to implement that visualization. And the key thing with the strategy There's pieces in there, simple less is more, there's mechanics around it, but building an amazing team, people who share your values, they're great at what they do, they're in the right seat, and there's somebody that you can trust implicitly. Those three things are the three rubrics when it comes to hiring people. But as you build this team, the team will get stronger and stronger, and you know you're going to start hitting the gas when you as a senior leader can comfortably sit back and watch a healthy debate happen among your leadership team. When you see a trusting environment on your leadership team, but people openly challenging and calling each other out, conflict, not in a nasty way, but a spirit of curiosity and pushing and saying, no, I don't agree all the time. That is fantastic. And when you as a senior leader actually start to get pushed, woohoo, now you're cooking with gas. That means that you're surrounding yourself with the right people who are going to push you to get stronger, push you to become better. So the last component of this then is how do you execute? Execute with ruthless but compassionate accountability. Sewer rat on a candy wrapper. Once you guys take a hold of it, you do not let it go, but create that culture that goes through, and you create that culture with your team. Your team then it'll permeate out through the entire organization. They will start holding each other accountable better than you ever could. And when you start to do this, you're going to start to truly transcend to what becomes your highest and best use as a senior leader, is looking way downfield, connecting those dots, teaching, facilitating, coaching your teams, helping to grow the people within you, finding those huge relationships. This ends up being highest and best use. But remember, to become a great leader, you actually have to get to a point where you teach others to lead. So ideally, you found some value with this. If you have any questions, hey, love to hear from you. Please subscribe to the channel, connect, keep smiling.